Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, Danny, how you doing today?
Hey, Brock. I'm all right, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's been quite an interesting day, but got through it, so I can't complain.
Everyone's
Uh,
still alive. Kids got fed and all that stuff.
yeah, everybody got fed. Everybody's still alive. Even had my wife take a nap for 30 minutes before she went back down to go do some more work for the night to be
Nice.
done at some point. But yeah, she was sitting there on the couch. She's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" Like, I'm like, "Well, I gotta sit here and eat." I was like, "The kids are getting showers." I'm like, "Why don't you go take care of yourself?" Because she was just gonna sit there on the couch. And I was like, "No, just go take a nap and relax,
Yeah.
recharge." Because I knew she wasn't done with work. She just got off of work for a little while to come up and
hmm
help me so that I could go grocery shopping. Yay.
Yeah. And we've talked about that before, and your wife and my wife both agreed they work more now that they're working from home than they ever did
Oh yeah.
going into the office. It's really impressive to me. I've not really ever had an office job. I'm more of a construction worker type guy, but to see my wife get up in the mornings, and even this week, she's staggered her schedule a little bit and she's made time for Christmas and all that. And her boss is absolutely all about it. Her company is great, but it's still almost a constant thing. She's got to, and her schedule never seems to be the same from day to day. And it's always, oh, I
Yeah.
got to go to work. Yeah, I got to work tonight, but I'm off tomorrow morning because of whatever. So she's really working herself. And I will tell you, and I will tell Corey too, if she ever hears this, get your naps. Oh man. Yeah. If
Yes.
you can get a nap, go nap. Just do it.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, flexibility is name of the game. And
hmm
you know, I know people joke about the happy wife, happy life stuff, but honestly, like I'd rather my wife be rested and happy than tired and grouchy. So
Yeah.
nobody's happy when you're grouchy, no matter who it
Right.
is. So
Right.
definitely. Well, hey, it's getting colder out. It's December. Maybe it's not as cold where you are down there in the south. So, but it based on the post today that I put out asking guys about what they do in the cold months and getting quite the jeering from one gentleman from Texas who was telling me it's 72 degrees and he still gets to go to the park.
Oh yeah.
It's like jerk face.
Yep. Yeah,
Must be
that's me
nice.
too. That's me. It was like 64 today and I was just walking around outside like, yeah, this is Georgia. So,
Yep. So must be nice, but it's mild here right now currently, but I mean it's gonna get colder. We were kind of talking offhand about what the weather's gonna do. I know that we're into this week; it'll get colder. We'll actually probably have some snow on the ground, maybe on Christmas. Be the first time in a few years for that for us.
that's cool.
But there's guys that live up north, that are in the Wisconsin, Minnesota areas and stuff like that. They're already dealing with the cold and it's interesting to see what their activities are with their kids. But I tend to see this question get asked a lot, like, what do you do with your kids as it gets colder when you start to get shut in? How do you keep
hmm
them busy? Different things like that. And of course, when you're off school for those 2 weeks, Christmas, New Year's, and then, maybe some guys have an extra week on top of that or whatever. It's what do you do with them, especially now because a lot of the spouses are at home too. So
hmm
that's a whole nother new element this year, probably for most than it was past. But so yeah, we're gonna talk about that tonight. Like what kind of things can you do? What kind of things do you do? And we'll put in some examples that, like I said, from a question that I asked on the close page today, just to give guys a chance to spout off both their I live in cold or I live in warm weather versus those who are talking about the amazing things they do in the cold weather. So yeah, it'll be fun. What kind of things do you do? I mean, like I said, you're in Georgia, like you were saying, so it doesn't
Yeah.
get insatiably cold down there, but um,
Yeah, we
you know,
probably have more days where it's too hot to go outside really with your little kids than it is too cold.
down there. Yeah.
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 And that's, I mean, it just, it's kind of an odd thing to say, but realistically, when if you've got a child and you go out, and I remember my kids when they were very young and they were just rosy cheeked and hot and just like there's nothing you could do. But and my wife is from Minnesota, so we've been up there a few times with the kids, and it's an amazing difference to me,
Yeah.
as to what you have to do, how you have to bundle them up, and how you have to, I mean, in some places, keep every inch of skin covered or they're going to get hurt. It's something really to deal with. But I think more than that is just every single day, for a couple of weeks or a couple of months at a time,
Yeah.
trying to figure it out. I don't have that experience, and I really don't have as much that I can talk to about that, but I can definitely feel it. And I think we all can, even our friend there in Texas, after 9, 10 months of quarantine. It's kind of the same thing for a lot of us. It's just, it may not be the cold, but we're stuck inside, and what do we do?
Yeah.
Um, it's difficult, and especially getting enough exercise, which is one of my big things, is getting our kids moving. Our kids are, they're little lumps, they're not going to do anything. I mean, they'll run around a little bit, but if we don't take them outside, it's really hard.
I think if you're
So
stuck inside though, there's some great things on YouTube. I know like I have a Roku and I got the
mhm,
YouTube app on there and stuff, but being able to pull up things like that to get the kids, into movements and doing different things, whether it be yoga or, if you're just gonna
yeah.
do some exercise or whatever. But utilizing that when it's cold and you can't go outside to get them moving
Hmm.
is, I think, another really good thing. But um, let's
We
let's kind of
dance
let's kind
a
of
lot.
backtrack just a little bit, or kind of back
Hmm.
things up just a little bit, because I don't want to get too far ahead of things. But I feel like one of the things that's most important, and this is the thing that my wife and I really seem to like land on together, was the whole idea of setting up like a routine for
Yeah.
the kids, and for myself as well. So for that, a lot of times like we have like a written like we should have like a written down chart on the wall, for the kids to look at. My 7-year-old can read it. My 5-year-old, she knows what the things are there because he points them out to her. So that's kind of helping her out a little bit. But things like get up, um, go to the bathroom, get breakfast.
Hmm.
After you get done eating breakfast, like get your vitamins, go change, come down and brush your teeth, that kind of stuff. We put on there like hug mom and dad, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just stuff like that. And then from there, we set up like a learn to earn type of chart. So for every 20 minutes of like reading, coloring, building like Legos, something creative, whatever it is, they get 30 minutes of screen time. And so just kind of building that, like, hey, like you go do this, you get this in return, kind of help for us to get the day going
Hmm.
together. And then I've put some new elements into it, just with the fact that it's winter break right now. But um just to so like I'll pause there and kind of throw it to you just for that first part. Like, what's that look like for you and your kids?
Well, on vacation from school, everything, of course, has changed a lot. But for their day to day, they all get up at different times. I wake my oldest up very early because she has to go to school early. So hers is fairly, I mean, she's 14 and she's a very kind of mature, intelligent 14 ish. And I can rely on her generally to just go ahead and take care of herself. I have to tell her every day to take a shower. Even though I tell her you have to take a shower every day, I still have to remind her almost every day. And for whatever reason, to put on deodorant. I don't know what it is with kids, but all the teenagers I know are stinky. And I'm like, no, just you don't have to be that. But getting her going is probably the easiest part. She's like I said, she's old enough to where she can get herself dressed. She knows how to brush her teeth, brush her hair. I do. We have I put a kettle on in the morning because she likes to have tea, so that she can have that. But her and our interactions are very simple, and she doesn't want to eat early. So she's easy in that as well. She eats at school. So she's not really, I don't really count her as a dependent really as much on me as much as the other ones do. But the other ones, it's absolutely like you just said. Okay, so and we have two things. One is a large whiteboard calendar on the wall, which we're not using as much right now because of quarantine, but it has every day of the week, and it has all the like the current month and 2 months ahead, and it's all of the days and things we're going to go. If we're going to do, like I said, we're not doing it now, but like say soccer or going to the Y or going to the pool or whatever we're doing is all on that. And right now it's kind of just here's a list of your housework. These are the things you need to do around the house. And there's no reward system for that part. That's absolutely no, you have to do this
Yeah.
before you get anything, So like you said, and theirs includes their regular housework, like they have to feed the animals. We no, shouldn't say the animals, the dogs and cats. It's not like we have cows and pigs or anything, but get them taken care of, get themselves taken care of, and all the basic needs are pretty standard, I think, what you'd expect for kids their age.
What age would you say that? Because I feel like this is another thing a lot of dads ask is they're trying to figure out like how to kind of start that process of getting their kids to do those independent things or
Yeah.
teaching. Like, what age did you start like getting
Immediately.
Yeah, like, but I mean, like age wise, they're like not immediately because I mean, got to be moving around a little bit. So, like, would you say
if they can do a task in any way, if they can help me, and that's the thing. I think maybe I should back up a little bit that, but when they're very young, 2 and 3 even,
Mhm.
they start the process of wanting to help. They want to be a helper, and I've said this many times to my kids and to my wife about our kids is, their helping is not actually helping. It's
Nope,
actually making
typically
the
not.
test take longer, but you have to, in my opinion, this is how I do it. You have to be willing to slow down and let them help you, let them make mistakes, let them
Yep.
figure out how to do it right, not get upset, not get impatient, not get angry. But that was as soon as they're strong enough, basically, to stand up and walk. I shouldn't say maybe that, but by three or four, they were just wiping. Like it would help daddy dust kind of thing, learning to wipe the appliances down, learning to dust, whatever they can reach. They really want to help. They really want to be useful and to be a part of the family. And that responsibility is a big thing for them. So I start as early as, I would say 3, 3, 4. Hey, pick up that piece of trash and put it in the trash can for me. That's actually aluminum. It goes in the recycling. That needs to go back in your room or whatever. And having them help you develops that desire of that they naturally have to be a helper.
Yeah.
And so from there, it just kind of transfers into, okay, well, this is your housework. You need to feed the cats. My 6-year-old gets the cats food, and she doesn't have, it's nothing she can't do. She's strong enough and she's smart enough. She spills it every day. It's great. It's really great. But some days she'll learn not to spill the cat food. We'll see. But it's just something you have to deal with they make messes about it. But she's learning like the other kids did. And as an example, my 14-year-old is never really willing. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but she's usually unwilling to really do her housework. I will tell her, hey, you need to go feed the dogs. And she'll say, this is the response. And it's not a no, of course. And it's not a, I am not going to do that, but it's definitely just that eye roll, okay. And she'll generally do it though, because she's learned by 14 that no, this is your chore and I'm not backing off of that.
See, I'm a smart ass, man. If my when my kid gets to that age and they pull the UGG for a simple ask of a task, the next time that they like ask to go do something, I'm gonna be like,
yeah. Oh
so
no,
that
I do that too.
so they can feel it right back, like,
yes, absolutely.
But it's a simple ask, Dad.
It really is, isn't it?
No, I'm not doing it.
Ugh.
I feel like I mean, you've got a mirror.
Yeah.
I feel like you've got a mirror, like with the way that they act towards you, just so that they can get that feeling too. And then they probably won't do it again, more than likely. I feel like I know with my son, he a couple of different times has done stuff and I'll react the same way he did. And he'll be like, Dad. And I'm like, right. But you did the same thing. And we have a conversation about it, and it usually tends to work itself out pretty well. So I don't know if that works for everybody, but it's worth a shot.
yeah. And every kid is different. So sometimes, and even moment to moment, really, they're different.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
Maybe it works today and not tomorrow, but I think it's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
They need to see it.
Well, so routines definitely help out a lot. That's for sure. Like we were talking about, like this is mainly a show about kind of the cold, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've seen guys put out there about, because there's a lot of guys from the north that have put out some really cool stuff. The thing I found interesting is that there's some really interesting um, talks of resilience with the dads and their kids. Like
Hmm.
bundle them up and go out, and they'll acclimate to it. And I've seen where a few dads are like, I'm really, like, I even question that, like, how can I tell if my kid's too cold, that kind of thing, or whatever. And
Yeah.
I think that it just comes down to, like, keeping a vigilant eye towards the what's going
Hmm.
on. But I mean, there were guys in here talking about how, like, they're in the mountains and they went for a hike down their fire lane, because I know this guy in particular has a cabin, and he gets to go hike through the redwoods. I'm so jealous of this guy,
Wow.
actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
so, but I've seen him, when it gets colder, and they get out and they just go to town, like doing stuff.
Hmm.
They're, guys are talking about, just bundle up. 22-month-old, they bundle up in hat and mittens and fleece lined pants, and they go out and they build snowmen and trollop through the snow and
Oh
have a good
yeah.
time with it. And um, there are guys that are um, I one guy is funny. I know this guy in particular. He's in, I believe, the Wisconsin area, and they've got an inflatable hot tub in their garage that
Oh
they use
yeah.
as like a swimming pool. And
Yeah, I
so,
know that guy.
yeah, and so when it gets warm and when it gets cold enough, that's what they do. And I think that's
Hmm.
just great. Like, they had the ability to purchase one of those, and it's got a dual purpose to it for both warm and cold months. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
um there's one guy's talking about they just go out and they ride bikes, when it's colder. Of course, you can't do that when there's snow, but they just keep pushing through and do different things from there.
Hmm.
The guys in the warmer places, they've decided that it's time to put in a playground in their backyard, and
Nice.
so they're building a playground there.
I
There's
love
one
that.
guy in here that he posted probably one of the coolest things I've seen, which is a bike, his summer bike, and he converted it to a winter bike, and it's got skis on it. So I thought that
Huh.
was kind of cool. Um,
That's cool.
yeah, it's pretty neat. And this is their kid. This is his kid's bike too. Like, he's sitting on it, but it's definitely, it's like a it doesn't have any pedals. It doesn't look like it has any pedals to it, but so it's like a push bike type of thing. But I thought that was pretty ingenious. Like, all right, they put skis on it, and they're gonna go out and do the thing. But I think he lives up further north. Um, yeah, it doesn't really say, but I bet he does. But so the one guy though, okay, for inside stuff, I felt like this gentleman from Indiana had some really good things. Like, so they are doing lots of crafts. They've loaded up on being able to do finger painting and watercoloring, and they do giant blanket forts and dance parties inside, and play hide and go seek in the house, and all these really fun things. And one of the things that he talked about was is that he saw where um, you collect all the art that you do, and then you put it up all over the wall, and you have like an art show.
Hmm.
And I thought that was neat, because I know specifically there is a couple of people who I've met through Dad 2.0 that are on Twitter currently and Facebook, that that's their thing. Like, they're trying to sort of make this pandemic, like, how do we tour places? And so they've given
Hmm.
people like this challenge to, like, show your area, show something around, and be like the tour guide for other people virtually to, like, see what you're doing. And that's kind of a neat thing to do too. I mean, you could have all kinds of fun with that,
Yeah.
especially in the colder months. Would be fun to do. Um, One guy uses the entire part of his house, 4 rooms, for his daughter and son to troll around on their scooters as a board member. He put a video in here too of it, which is really funny.
It's a great video.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just different guys. They got different stuff going on. Like I said, like lots of snow building. I think the biggest key, though, honestly, when it comes to the winter, if it's if it's not blistering cold, where you're gonna go out and get frostbite from the wind and everything else. Like, if it's nice, it's sunny outside, or even if it's not like a wet rain type of deal, like to get out and do something.
Hmm.
Because I think that I know me personally, I'm just as happy sitting on the couch, honestly, when it's really just kind of crappy out and just being like, screw it. Like
Yeah.
my wife is you know giving me the flexibility to where as long as the kids are healthy and fed and they're having fun, if it's just going to be like let's just sit around and play games or watch movies for the day,
Hmm.
and that's what we're doing, like that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And um you know especially when it's colder out, my kids get extra amounts of screen time.
Hmm.
With it being the winter, with it being winter break right now, I've actually got kind of a fun routine where in the morning we're watching a movie. So yesterday we watched Santa Claus the movie from
Hmm.
1985. Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
such a good movie. It's one of my favorites. Um, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Santa Claus the movie from 1985, check it out because I feel like uh, it's like Elf and like all the other Santa movies, like all packed into one. Like they all took something from that movie and put it into theirs, like the newer stuff. But so we watched that, and then we watched The Wizard of Oz today, which my kids hadn't
Nice.
really seen, so that
Yeah.
was cool. So yeah, just and then so we do that, and it runs up till just about lunchtime, and then after lunch, like they go upstairs and they play independently,
Hmm.
and
Which is a big thing, very
yeah,
important thing.
oh yeah, definitely. Um, so you have kids that are closer to my kids' age,
Hmm.
with the two younger ones. Actually, I think they're almost identical in age.
Yeah, real close. 6 and 7.
Yeah, mine are 7 and 5. So, but how kind of speak a little bit to the independent play side of things. How's that work for you with your younger ones?
They do very well together, and I will say I don't really push independent like just themselves as much as if they want to play together.
Right, that's what I mean when I mean
Yeah,
independent play is
yeah,
that they're
without parents or
with
adults. Yeah,
exactly like they would if they were at school on the playground. Nobody's
yeah,
instructing them what to do.
exactly. Yeah, and but they love playing with each other until they don't. And then they just suddenly want to just literally just want to hit each other with whatever's handy. So like siblings do. But I've found that it's very, very important for them. One, because they need to be away from me, because then they can go and just figure out how things work that I may not have necessarily explained to them or whatever. Like, why do we put the books on the bookshelf? I can tell them that, but where did I put that book I left? Did I put it in my bed? Where did I leave that? And being able to trace back their things, so that independence helps them grow, I think, in so many ways.
Hmm.
And then their imagination, because almost everything they do is imaginative play at that point. When they do their independent stuff, they're not really reading books, they're not really doing anything. They will a lot of times do drawing and writing and things like that, but they're drawing something that has to do with the game they're playing,
Right.
the imaginative whatever that the story that they're playing out together. And they're like, well, no, we need to write down, you know um, I don't have no I don't have any really good examples, but I need an arrow. I need a red arrow pointing towards this way so that I know, when the dinosaur comes in his truck to come down the hill to pick up his watermelons, he goes this direction. And I'm just like, okay, draw your arrow. I'm fine with that,
Sure.
because they get so into their own world, into building their own stories, really, and into their imagination. They will come find me, which I love, and they will tell me this is what we're doing, or this is what we did, or ask to borrow things. Hey, could we have the cardboard tubes out of the recycling for swords, or we're going to roll our matchbox cars down it, or whatever they're going to do. The I think the biggest part of their personal growth at those ages, at least, comes from play like that.
Yeah.
And as a dad, I think, and it really I should say as a parent, but I know my experiences is from a dad, we're the solid, like, home base. This is your foundation, where I'm good here, I'm not going anywhere. Go over there and see what happens.
Yeah.
Go out, experience whatever it is that's over there. Climb up your dresser like a ding dong if you want to, but try to be safe. But go do those things, figure out why things are the way they are, and I'm here for when you're ready to come back, or if anything scares you, or you get hurt, or you need a snack or whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is they're probably most progressive growth in those age groups, 5 to 7.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I found it interesting when so we're only day 2 into our winter break, but I went upstairs last night to put the kids to bed, and over by my son's closet there were like these pillows, and it just kind of looked like it was like a reading nook or something that he had like built like his own little like nest area.
Nice.
And there's a pillow that I typically use when I read to him that I sit on his bed. And I was like, where's that pillow at? And he's looking around. He's like, oh, I know where it is. And he goes past the place where the pillows are, but he goes into the closet and he disappears back in there. I'm like, what's going on? Because there's like a hanging shelf that sits in there. And I'm like, what is he doing? And he comes out with like a pillow and a blanket. And I'm like, what is all that? And he's like, oh, and he was talking about how his sister had like made herself a little reading nook in there, which was like even tinier space, but she's
Yeah.
5. And they both apparently were just like sitting in, he said that they were laying there and reading, and they even took like short naps. Like, I didn't know that. Like, I was down here the entire time doing stuff around the house, but
Yeah.
it was just great. Like, we've been telling them for a while, like, you guys need to at some point recognize that you're so tired that you just need to stop and just take a moment to just rest for a few
That is
minutes.
awesome.
And so they've obviously figured out, and they were still tired last night. I mean, I had them doing all kinds of stuff yesterday and they still were just zonked. So,
Yeah.
but I was just super impressed to see them build, this little area for them to hang out in.
Yeah, their own spot. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool. And
That's very cool.
it was still there again. Like, they rebuilt it, or her area, because of course I had taken like the pillow out of it and stuff, but
Mhm.
obviously they like that area. And hey, honestly, if that's what they like to do, and I get the
Yeah.
opportunity to have like no kids around me to be able to get things done around the house and just
Anything
enjoy
done?
the quiet, yeah, I am all for that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Me
So
too.
so hopefully that continues, because if so, that's going to make winter break that much better, I feel like, for me in a lot of ways. Give
I
everybody a
agree.
chance to have some breathing space between what's going on. So, but yeah. Um, let's see here. I was looking at your list of things that you had sent over. I like the book
Mhm.
time. I think that it's important for kids. If you've got an older kid that can read and a younger kid that can't, like, give the kid who can read an opportunity to read out loud to their younger siblings, so that way
Yes.
it's you know I've seen some really cool like inflection in my son's voice when he reads stories now, and
Awesome.
he's taken the time to like figure that out. And two, like I said, I read to him. I read some different things, and so he sees me do it too. It's been neat to see him read to his sister that way. I am curious. You put on here something about painter's tape on the floor and painter's tape
Oh
on the
yeah.
wall. What are you doing there, and how are you getting away with it? Because
Well,
I was,
the blue painter's tape that
I know,
pulls up
but
really easily. So
oh, okay, yeah. So what kind of things can you do with the painter's tape?
I have to tell you, I picked this up years and years ago for what to do with kids on a plane. And I took a roll of painter's tape, which is the blue tape. It pulls off really easy. It won't stick to carpet or anything like that. And we made masks while we were flying. And the youngest got cranky, so I made a mask and I made him a beard. And we had a great time with a stupid roll of tape. So it became a thing that I looked at because actually their cousin gave them a big case of Matchbox cars. And I've always, we always had like Hot Wheels or Matchbox when I was a kid, and we just played with them in the dirt or whatever else. And so what we did is we made a raceway the first time, which is basically just 2 stripes of painter's tape, and it was on the carpet, so it wasn't even very fast. It was more of the a moving, let me push this with my hand than actually racing
Yeah.
cars. But we made streets, and then they wanted to put buildings in, so they started building buildings with just like cardboard boxes and things like that, and just letting their imagination go, because now they have not just a piece of carpet, they have, oh look, a city street, or it's a raceway, or it's an airport, or whatever it might be. So we'll do that there. We'll also make designs, especially on the kitchen floor. And they'll just say, they'll show me a triangle, and then the triangle is very simple. Even the youngest can make a triangle at this point. And then we're like, well, what can we add on to that? What can we build onto this? And
Mm.
give them each a roll of tape when it's the two smallest ones, and they'll just go to town. It's a lot of tape, I'll admit, and it's difficult sometimes to get it away from them or to get it all up. It doesn't all come up 100%, but generally it all comes up fairly easily, especially you don't leave it there for any length of time.
Yeah.
And that just lets them, again, build their own space or their own place that their imagination is saying, well, this is a mountain, so I'm going to build, I'm not going to build a tape mountain, hopefully, but I'm going to put on the cabinets in the kitchen, I'm going to put basically a triangle, and that
Mm.
represents the mountain, and they'll just drive their cars up the side of the cabinet and then back down the other side, and it peels right off without taking any paint or anything like that with it, because that's what painter's tape is for.
That's
So
cool. Yeah. No, I wondered about that. That's really neat. I like that idea.
once you
Um,
start it, I have to say it's kind of like with anything, you find it and you're like, how I'm gonna have to go everywhere now with a roll of painter's tape in my pocket, or my
yeah.
backpack or whatever. Because what are we doing, Dad? Here, let me make you a mask. You're now Santa Claus, and they'll go crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I know. I like that a lot. I think you also have on here like puzzles and board games, and
Hmm.
oh man, my kids are all about that, especially just all kinds of games and stuff. So we play a lot of Ticket to Ride. I've got a
Nice.
small. I don't have like the big version. I've got actually a version from New York. It's the New York version. So
Oh,
it's
cool.
just
I
it's
haven't seen
just
that.
New York City.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's small
Yeah.
and it's all taxi cabs, and the kids love it. And my oldest is learning strategy with it. He was really upset with the last game we played because he had a strategy in mind and it did not work out well for him.
Yeah.
And so we had to talk about what didn't go right and how to hopefully make it go right the next
Yeah.
time,
Do it the next time.
which was good because he was like, all right, when are we playing again next? So
Right. I'm ready. Let's try it now.
yeah,
I'm ready to beat you this time, Dad.
so we're doing that tomorrow. I believe we're gonna play some of that, but that
Time for a
and
rematch.
just some different card games. I don't know if anybody knows. It's not like so like Monopoly's a fun game to play, but it's long, right?
Hmm.
There's actually a card game of Monopoly. It's called Monopoly Deal. I don't know if it's out as like widespread as it was when it first came out, but it's really easy because all you have to do in the card game is get like 3 sets of like property. Like once you get 3 full sets of property, you're done. And so you're a lot of the same rules play for like a Monopoly game when you have certain things you can do, like you can force people to pay you rent and all this different stuff. So it's got a lot of fun little things to it. But yeah, that Monopoly Deal is a whole lot more fun than Monopoly itself because you're not dealing with any pieces. It's all just a card game. So
Yeah.
um, that's one I would suggest to people as something to check out for sure.
Yeah, we do puzzles a lot. My wife, that's what her family did all through those winter months, and you figure out what to do with the kids. They
Yeah.
would do puzzles. Now I can't do puzzles. I would say I can do a puzzle if it's just me, but my patience just disappears within seconds when I try to watch my kids put a puzzle together. It's just something you have to know your limitations.
This piece
Unfortunately,
goes
let's
there.
just let's go. Let's just no. Just can you stop? My wife fortunately loves it still, and it does have that patience, so they do puzzles with her.
Yeah.
And the puzzle pieces that are much larger too. They're like in like 2 inches across or what have you. Harder to lose, fortunately. Easier for little kids to kind of manipulate and move around. And
Yeah.
again, that really, really helps push them towards their, more cognitive understanding of what they're doing and why it doesn't go where they want it to go and how to put it where it's supposed to go.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing that I was thinking about, like for these months where you might get stuck in the house, if the roads are safe enough to get out, like to go for a drive,
Hmm.
um, I love driving. It just one two. I love the kids getting to like see different. It's funny because like where you might have driven and been like, this is just another drive. To them, like they see buildings and things. They're like, whoa, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Or two, it gives you the opportunity to play different music. So like we don't listen to anything like crazy. Like I like classic rock and things like that. But so the kids, like, we don't have to like, oh, you can't, like, it's like there's nothing that I listen to that you can't listen to type of thing. So they like a lot of the same stuff. But like even the Okie Dokie Brothers,
Oh yeah.
we play a lot of Okie Dokie Brothers. So like we'll go in the Prius because it's got Bluetooth, and I'll throw on Spotify and I'll pull up Okie Dokie Brothers and just drive around and listen. And the kids, like, they love it, man. They just sing all the songs. It's a great time. And then occasionally I get requests for Micah and Me, and so we'll throw on that, and they sing, the dump truck song and all that stuff. And it's all those different like fun songs like that. They enjoy those, so we'll listen to that, and then I can usually like segue from that into like Imagine Dragons or into different classic rock. And they love the Beatles. So we watched a lot of Beat Bugs on Netflix, which is a really cool cartoon. It's all based around Beatles songs. So every every single cartoon episode is actually a Beatles song.
All right.
And the song is incorporated.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So if you like the Beatles and you haven't heard of Beat Bugs, check that out, because it's a really cool cartoon. But yeah, just stuff like that. Getting in the car and going for a drive. And who knows, maybe they'll take a nap.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is they can always fall asleep, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, naps need to be like at the top of your need pyramid. For everybody.
Yep. My kids love falling asleep in the car, I feel like. So anytime I get the opportunity to do that, we do that. But yeah, just stuff like that. I mean, just be creative. And I think too, if you're in the closed Facebook group and you're trying to figure out like, what can I do? Just like I did, like I just put the question in there, and it took no time at all for guys to start commenting on it. If you ask a question. But I think that if you're listening to this and you're not a part of the closed group, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, and you maybe don't have that community, like throwing that out just onto like the Facebook page that you're on, or whatever it is, like there are ways to get ideas out there, aside from just Googling it yourself and finding things. So
agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that hopefully that gives everybody some good ideas for winter. One of the things that I'm going to do, because Danny mentioned teenagers and hygiene, is I'm going to drop a link in here for everybody that hasn't heard of Fluffy. Gabriel Iglesias, the comedian, he's got a hilarious story talking about how he was trying to get his 15-year-old son to use deodorant.
Does he? Okay, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's hysterical. I think it'll give everybody a good chuckle, because he goes to some great lengths actually to like get his son to like realize like that his stink is taking over in different ways. So, but I digress. So anyway, I love getting to talk about just different ideas on how to do routine. And so that'll be the end for this part. But on the next episode, you'll want to listen to it, because we're going to talk about some meal prep routine, and some different things that Danny and I do for that. And I know there's a lot of guys that have asked about, what does that look like and what do you do? And so that's what we'll be discussing in the next episode. So until then, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be talking to you again real soon.
See you later.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.